What does this sign mean? You're waiting for the emergency services to arrive at the scene of an incident. A pedestrian's leg is bleeding heavily, but there's nothing embedded in the wound. How could you help? You're at the scene of an incident. What does it mean if there's a plain orange rectangle displayed on one of the vehicles? You're driving behind a large vehicle. How can you improve your view ahead? What makes the pictured vehicle environmentally friendly? You're driving on a motorway. What's the speed limit when the hard shoulder is being used as a running lane? What does it mean when there are double red lines running along the edge of a road? When must you stop on a motorway? The double white line along the center of the road is unbroken on your side. When may you cross the line? Why should you never wave people across at pedestrian crossings? What's the purpose of road humps, chicanes, and narrowings? What requires extra care when you're driving or riding in windy conditions? How would age affect an older person's driving ability? When may you drive without wearing your seatbelt? When could the cost of your insurance be reduced? What's the purpose of a catalytic converter? What should you do immediately after joining a motorway? You've just passed your driving test. How can you reduce your risk of being involved in a collision? You want to put a rear-facing baby seat on the front passenger seat. What must you do if the passenger seat is protected by a frontal airbag? To avoid spillage after refueling, you should make sure that What's the purpose of green and yellow fluorescent studs on a motorway? What style of driving causes increased risk to everyone? How can you use your vehicle's engine as a brake? What effect will a fitted roof rack will have on your car? What's the purpose of green and yellow fluorescent studs on a motorway? What's the legal minimum insurance cover you must have to drive on public roads? You've just gone through flood water. What should you do to make sure your brakes are working properly? You're parked on the road at night. When must you use parking lights? You're waiting in a traffic queue at night. How can you avoid dazzling drivers behind you? Who's responsible for making sure that a vehicle isn't overloaded? What should you do if you're driving on a motorway and you miss the exit that you wanted to take? Which of the following may cause loss of concentration on a long journey? Mark 4 answers. What should you do if a driver upsets you? If you are planning a long journey, do you need to plan rest stops? Anti-lock brakes prevent wheels from locking. This means the tires are less likely to. When driving in falling snow, you should. You are following a vehicle on a wet road. You should leave a time gap of at least. To avoid spillage after refueling, you should make sure that What does this sign mean? What does this sign mean?